This video has spoilers from the newest novel that Blizz has just put out, so if you plan on reading the book for yourself, please refrain from watching the video and go back to your hentai. Chronicle, A Broken Oath, and Sargeras' Legion. With the threat of new creatures spawned from the twisting nether that proved to be a threat to all life in the universe, the Titans dispatched their most valiant warrior to quell this threat once and for all. Sargeras, defender of the Pantheon, without hesitation set out and pledged that he would cleanse the universe of all demonic influence and would not rest until every single demon no longer posed a threat to the Titans' journey to bring order to any worlds that they may find in their quest to find and awaken world souls. For ages he would travel to distant worlds fighting to protect and spare the world's inhabitants from invading demons. Although they pose little to no threat to the mighty Titan himself, their acts upon the worlds that they have encountered caused even the mighty Sargeras to feel despair and an overwhelming sense of helplessness. The demons reduced entire civilizations to ash and warped the world's inhabitants into grotesque and hateful aberrations. Before he left the Pantheon to wage war against these sadistic creatures born of pure malevolence, he never imagined that such hate could ever exist in the universe. After continuous battles against his foes, Sargeras became aware that the demons had learned to wield void energies and that malign beings were spreading corruption through the cosmos. These beings were the Void Lords. Sargeras became even more troubled by his discovery, but nonetheless continued his battle against the demons. But as he continued on his lone path of bringing order to countless worlds, he soon noticed that many of the demons that he was fighting right now were demons that he had fought in the past. He soon came to realize the horrible truth. His foes did not die in combat. Instead, their spirits simply returned to the twisting nether and were reborn into new bodies. The only way to defeat them permanently was to eradicate them within the twisting nether itself, but Sargeras, who did not notice at the time, concluded that he needed a way to contain them instead of just killing them. Concerned of the trouble that Sargeras was encountering, the Pantheon dispatched their second mightiest warrior, Agramar. Although he initially was a little rusty in combat, he quickly adapted to his task and impressed Sargeras so much that the Titan named him as his trusted lieutenant. In time, Sargeras was able to warp the energies of the Nether to form a prison known as Mardum, which would act as a prison where the demons would languish for all eternity. This proved to be a great victory for the Titans and their worlds, and soon both Sargeras and Agramar's efforts brought peace into the cosmos. As the presence of demons became rarer and fewer, worlds prospered and life flourished. Nevertheless, Sargeras and Agramar continued their hunt for remnants of their foes. In time, both concluded that they would cover more ground quicker if they worked apart, only calling each other for aid in times of dire need. And so, the two champions went their separate ways. While Agramar continued his journey eradicating demons and bringing order to many worlds, Sargeras would encounter something terrible, something horrible that shook him to his core, and that made him doubt and reflect on everything that he had learned and believed in the past. On a black and grotesque world, Sargeras found enormous beings he had never seen festering across the world's surface. They had embedded themselves in the world and shrouded the entire planet in a blanket of void energies. These beings were the old gods. But upon further contemplation and observation, Sargeras realized that this was no ordinary world. It was a world with a Titan world soul. Adding more trouble to the matter, Sargeras did not hear joyous dreams emitting from the slumbering Titan. Instead, he saw and heard dark and horrific nightmares emitting from his sleeping sibling. Enraged and horrified by what he had seen, Sargeras captured a number of Nathrazim that had been dwelling on the planet, and they revealed to him that if the powers of the void succeeded in corrupting a sleeping Titan, then it would awake as a creature of pure darkness, a creature that not even the Pantheon would be able to stand against. For the first time ever, Sargeras knew fear, and with rage, sorrow, and anguish burning through his soul, he swung his blade through his sibling, ending the corruption of the Titan, as well as the Titan's life itself. Sargeras immediately returned to his brethren, informing them of his discoveries and what he had to do in order to spare not only the Titan he had slain, but also the Pantheon itself of a terrible fate, should the Titan have been successfully corrupted. However, even though they were troubled by Sargeras' discoveries, they were even more troubled by his actions. They argued, and heated conversations flared between both Sargeras and the rest of the Pantheon. His brethren stated that there must have been a way for them to cleanse their sibling of corruption rather than kill one of their own kin needlessly, but Sargeras realized that further arguments were futile. They weren't there. They had not seen what he had seen. Overcome with despair and feelings of betrayal, the mighty champion left the Pantheon and vowed to himself that if they would not help him expel the Void Lord's corruption, then he would do it himself, no matter how dire the consequences. And so, this was the beginning of Sargeras' descent into darkness. Now, it's at this point where I am going to skip the discovery of Primordial Azeroth and the Black Empire and dive back into Sargeras' background, but don't worry because I will be going back and covering the discovery of Azeroth in the next video. As the Pantheon and their keepers helped shape Azeroth into an ordered world, Sargeras meditated on the fate of the universe. He eventually concluded that the only way to spare the universe from corruption was to purge it in fire, but to go about this, he needed an army at his command. And so he traveled to Mardum, the planet of banishment, and freed all of his former foes whom he once jailed. The explosion of fell magic from the prison plane enveloped him and seared his very soul, causing his eyes to burst into gouts of emerald fire. He then turned towards the demons and offered them a pact: fight at his command and serve at his every whim, or be utterly annihilated. The demons, with no other choice, followed his burning crusade. None dared to challenge him, and none wanted to. They enjoyed their new purpose, for following Sargeras' quest was essentially what they were born to do: exterminate the living. But upon many worlds falling upon the unbridled fury of the Legion, eventually it caught the attention of Agramar, Sargeras' greatest friend. He confronted Sargeras and demanded an explanation for the atrocities that the once noble Titan had wrought forth upon these ordered worlds, but Sargeras gave him none. He then states to Agramar that his burning crusade was the sole means of purifying the universe, and that any who stood against him would fall and be consumed by the fires of his legion. Agramar, shocked and saddened by his friend's words, then challenged his former mentor to single combat. Legions of Sargeras' minions stood by and watched in astonishment as the two mightiest warriors in the universe clashed head-on, exchanging blows and fighting for what they believed to be the greater good. In time, however, Sargeras' ferocious and unrestrained assaults proved to be too powerful, and the fallen Titan managed to shatter Agramar's defenses, reeling him in pain and agony. As a last resort, the noble Titan mustered up what remaining power he had and struck at the Lord of the Legion. The two blades met and ignited in a furious explosion of both fell and arcane power. Agramar then took this opportunity to retreat from the battle and informed the rest of the Pantheon of Sargeras' betrayal. The Pantheon, upon hearing the words that their greatest friend and mightiest warrior had betrayed them, were struck by sadness to their very core, but nonetheless were quick to act and confronted Sargeras and his burning legion near a world named Nihilum. Once both parties had arrived, Aman'Thul called out to Sargeras, informing him of the World Soul within Azeroth, a World Soul with more power and potential than any of the Pantheon had ever seen in the countless ages of their explorations of the cosmos. Sargeras, still listening intently, was not stirred from his path of purging the universe with his righteous fire. As a final resort to avoiding conflict, Agramar then approached his closest friend, unarmed, recounting the tales of their glorious battles together, reminding Sargeras of the sacred oaths that they had sworn together so many ages ago. As Agramar finished his speech, Sargeras looked upon him, and with a howl of rage, agony, and sorrow, Sargeras struck Agramar down, his fell blade cleaving his friend in two. Speechless and fueled by rage at what they had just witnessed, the Pantheon then launched an all-out attack on the Legion, and as the battle drew on, stars withered and light died, as the conflict began to scar vast stretches of reality. Even though the Pantheon fought with all of their strength and power, however, the fallen Titan decimated the Pantheon members with fell fire until he had broken their will to fight. Now this is what it says in the book. I'm not paraphrasing that part. It word for word states that, which I find hard to believe. Sargeras must have literally been strong as hell if he managed to best the Pantheon to the point of where he broke their will to fight. It's pretty hard to imagine the Titans losing the will to defend order and stability and everything they vowed to protect so many ages ago. But hey, I guess Sargeras managed to shatter their confidence, and that's what it says in the book. The fallen Titan then summoned a massive fellstorm that would overwhelm his brethren, consuming both body and souls alike. As a final act, Norgannon bent the raw energies of the universe to his will, which wove a protective shield upon the Titan spirits and launched them into the Great Dark. Unaware of Norgannon's acts and believing himself to be victorious, Sargeras then made it his primary objective to locate a world containing a powerful world soul named Azeroth. Fortunately, however, he did not know where its whereabouts remained, but with the fall of the Pantheon and the other Titans unable to oppose him, he knew that it would only be a matter of time until he would find Azeroth.